Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Omega Seamaster Professional Planet Ocean 600 meter GMT. The black and white, one of the stars of Bezel World 2016, you can see and you can purchase this dual-time Seamaster Planet Ocean on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Seamaster Planet Ocean 600 meter GMT. Now that is a mouthful, but this watch is deserving of every superlative. In 2016, the watch you see here with the combination of white and black ceramic bezel, ceramic dial, white gold indices and hands, debuted at Bezel World, and it represented something of a sea change, pardon the pun if you will, in the Planet Ocean collection, as the metal watches were resized to 39.5 millimeters and 43.5, which is what you have here. A size that originally debuted on the Seamaster GMTs across the board. It became a little bit of a standard for the Planet Oceans, but the GMT still wears it well. As you can see, 43.5 millimeters across the round of the case. That's not including the crown guards or the helium escape valve. More on that in a moment. The watch remains fairly thick, as the Planet Oceans have always been the hardcore divers in the Seamaster collection, surpassed only by the Ploprof. This is definitely the most wearable of the everyday Seamaster divers. At 17.2 millimeters thick, it's not going to slide underneath any cuffs, but then again, it is a bold watch, and while it will clear a jacket cuff, again, it's not going to stand a chance against a dress sleeve, or perhaps I should say the sleeve will not stand a chance against it. Lug-to-lug, however, it is compact. This is where the watch really recoups wearability and viability on a smaller wrist, as it's only 49 millimeters lug-to-lug, and one of the key changes was that Omega created these pivoted end links that allow the watch to wear true to size lug-to-lug, rather than having flared horns of the solid end links jump out beyond the case band. You can see that the lug truly does represent the end of the watch. There's no flare. 49 is the measurement, and I often say 50 millimeters or less is a critical measurement across the wrist for smaller male wrists from 14 to 16.5 centimeters, so this one wears very well. You can also note that the bracelet truly deserves this watch's reputation as the Cadillac of Omega divers. All sizing done with screws, no pins and sleeves here, a 3-link design, all of satin finish to reduce glare, handsome with plenty of channels on the underside to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair, and also plenty of gaps to aerate the wrist on a hot day. The clasp is everything you expect and then some. Now it has a slider that allows you to incrementally adjust it, so you can make small changes to suit the swell or contraction of your wrist, but you also have a classical fold-out extension, and between the two of them you're going to find that there's well over 1.5 inches of adjustability. You should be able to fit this over anything from a dry suit to a space suit. That's quite a good deal of adjustability, and the clasp as solid as ever. Tight tolerance is beautifully made, solid all of a piece, twin trigger release, so no friction fit and no cheap clamshell. This is how every dive clasp, heck, every luxury watch bracelet clasp should be constructed. The case, and we can get close now that we're not on the wrist anymore, but the case will be familiar to those who have been following Omega sports watches since the mid-60s, which is to say it is a well-traveled path. Sheer sides and satin finish, polished bevels. Since 1993, we have had helium escape valves on the professional level Seamasters, and so it is. A conversation piece for most, essential for saturation divers, whether you need it or you simply need it to start a conversation, it's there for you. Now the bezel is all of ceramic, and it was one of the highlights of this model. Incredibly striking, as there is no blurring of the line between the two separate ceramic colors. Keep in mind, this is a 24-hour GMT style bezel. In conjunction with the GMT hand, which moves in 24-hour cycles, you can offset. So set your 24-hour hand to GMT, set your local to whatever you like, and then when you're flying into an airport or sailing into a port, use the GMT offset of that time zone in conjunction with the bezel to temporarily tell yourself a third time zone. Or you can simply line it up. Keep in mind, it is not a dive bezel because it can extend or shorten your dive, moving in both directions, but for instances when life is not on the line, you can easily line up the luminescent pearl with the broad arrow minute hand and then use it as an impromptu timer, and that's exactly how I would use it. Of course, the ceramic both looks good and prevents the bezel from scratching. The ratcheting quality so often missing on 24-hour bi-directional pilot style bezels is absolutely wonderful here. You feel it, you hear it, it's a pleasure to use. There will be a loom shot at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now the ceramic is scratch resistant for practical purposes as the sapphire crystal rings a dial made of the same material. It is a zirconium oxide dial in a beautiful gloss black. You can actually see the chemical composition in its proper scientific notation underneath the cannon pinion below the hands. You can see zirconium oxide, and you'll also note that all of the appliques on the dial are white gold. Like the gray side of the moon, the dark side of the moon, the flagship ceramic case Speedmasters, the Planet Oceans are flagship watches within their line. So everything you see on the dial that's not ceramic is white gold. You'll also note that the watch has an attractive tri-Arabic layout, 12, 9, and 6, balanced by a monotone disc and a subtle date indicator at 3 o'clock, so a handsome and practical dial with everything you need. Now the watch does have a large and deeply knurled crown that's easy to grip, and I have to say, when fully withdrawn, it's about as stable as any crown that I've ever experienced. It feels like it is rigidly mated to the case. It doesn't have the spindly wobble that you find on most sports watches, even most aggressive divers. This watch is so well made that even small refinements like the quality of the stem and the junction of the crown with the case remind you that you're wearing a flagship Omega, truly a Cadillac. Now of course you have the hacking seconds function that I just demonstrated. You can stop the seconds hand, synchronize to a reference time. What you can also do is go to the intermediate setting position because it is a GMT. Now you have the ability to, as you can see, set the hour hand independently of the other indications. They continue to move. It's not affecting the chronometric precision of your watch. Note that you can actually jump the international date line in either direction and drive the date without damaging the movement. That's a special feature and one that will come in handy for those who may simply find that resetting the watch after it's stopped, they need to roll back one day to match the current date. It can be as simple as that. You may never travel and that function will come in handy. 600 meters water resistant. You know it has a helium escape valve. You know it has a screw down crown. Perhaps exceptionally, it also has a display case back, and we're going to try to get as close as we can while keeping everything in focus. But the display case back lets you see the master chronometer, caliber 8906, the successor to the original Planet Ocean GMT. This is now a METAS certified chronometer, so a test of the entire watch, its resistances, its winding efficiency, its power reserve, as well as the chronometric precision. It still meets and exceeds the COSC chronometer standards. You can see it has a full balance bridge with a free-sprung index for shock resistance and precise regulation. It has a silicon hairspring for amagnetic qualities, so very resistant to magnetism, right up to the level of particle accelerators and MRIs. Twin mainspring barrels in series for a 60-hour power reserve. You saw the hacking seconds, you saw the second time zone. It also features bidirectional winding, so it doesn't have the rattle of a unidirectional system, and you'll note the twin mainspring barrels underneath their bridges. It features the coaxial escapement technology developed by George Daniels for Omega during the late 1990s. He spent years trying to convince many brands, including some very high-end ones, to adopt this technology. Only Omega was ambitious enough to serialize it, and today the system finally lives up to its original billing of better short-term timing precision, long-term timing stability, and reduced maintenance requirements. Finally, you'll note Omega chose a distinctive finish for this movement with a spiral arabesque Côte de Genève and blackened rather than polished or blued screws. Handsome, and perhaps the best part, you do get to see it. An extreme 600-meter depth rating, and yet a display caseback, an uncommon combination. But like the black and white bezel, this watch is a fusion of elements that shouldn't work together but do. See it and love it on our website. Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean GMT. This is the black and white at night, and as you can see, Omega thoughtfully differentiated between most of the luminescent material and the bezel and the minute hand, so you can line them up and easily keep track. See it by the light of day in its black and white glory on our website.